Makarioi, hoi patochoi to pneumati. Hoti auton estin he basileia ton uranon. So this first beatitude is actually very, or it should be very shocking, and I'm sure it was shocking to people then. It's actually still shocking to people now. Jesus says, blessed or happy. I remember taking a rabbinic Hebrew class, and I think the instructor really favored the word happy. But here I think we could use the word blessed. Blessed are, this is a, by the way, what's known as a nominal sentence. There's no verb to be here. Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of the heavens, or the realm of the divine. So let's focus for a minute on this first little part. Blessed or happy, hoi patochoi, the poor to pneumati, in spirit. So this word like pneumatic. Here, I don't think we're talking about people who are spiritually poor. This is, talking about like the breath of life. This is people who are poor literally with respect to their life. Maybe they're actually monetarily poor. Maybe they're just not healthy. They just got a bad roll of the dice at birth or at some point in their lives. And by the way, when we translate blessed or happy are those who, or happy are the poor in spirit, we could flip that around. I mean, that has a very poetic sound to it, and I suppose that is fine. I don't know that the Greek sounds that poetic. So we could just say the poor in spirit are blessed. And then we get this because Yeshua is explaining why. So he says, auton, theirs, of them, is, and this is really indicating possession, he basileia ton uranon. We touched on this in the teachings of Yeshua on Mark. He basileia, literally the kingdom, but I like to use the word realm. And one reason I really like the word realm is because, first of all, we don't encounter so many kingdoms right now. And when we do, they're kind of mixed. Some, I suppose there are some absolute monarchies left on the planet, but that is not the norm like it would have been back in Yeshua's day. So I like the word realm because it still can connote that. A king can have a realm, a queen can have a realm. But more than that, it sort of allows us to pivot into taking this not quite so literally. And we'll come back to that. First, let's look at this word uranon, or ton uranon. This is genitive plural, so masculine genitive plural, meaning of the heavens, of the skies, literally. Now, I believe this is plural because in Hebrew, the word for sky is dual. It's not singular or plural. It's that midpoint. And Greek has a dual, but I'm sure I don't think it's used in the Koine. I could be wrong about that. But in Hebrew, it's Hashemayim. And actually, by the way, Mitzrayim, Egypt, is also dual. So I think to capture that in Greek, they use the plural, just like we do in English. We talk about the heavens. Now, here's where we can really start to think about what is being said. The realm of the heavens. What is the heavens? One way to think about the heavens is it's the opposite of the earth. And I think broadly speaking, we can use these as ways of talking about matter, the earth, and consciousness, and maybe even levels of consciousness. That is what uranon is. So literally, I think at this point in time, many people saw the earth as flat, being covered by a big giant dome, a rakia that's talked about in Genesis 1. And the heavens would be up there. That's where the divinities lived. Or in the case of, if you're monotheist, that's where God lived. And even one step beyond that, it's possible to understand that beyond the dome is where the real transcendent, uncaused caused resided. It's a way of picturing that. But another way to understand uranon, or consciousness in this case, is to think about chakras for a minute. If we think about the root chakra, if we're standing up, the root chakra is the lowest chakra towards the ground. That's what roots us. We're rooted in materiality. The idea behind opening the chakras is to draw this goddess energy up from the Mula chakra to the crown chakra, the Sahasrara, or the thousand-petaled chakra. That is where Shiva resides. And when these two come into union, that is enlightenment/liberation. So we can understand Uranon in this metaphoric way, that consciousness is the heavens. So now we should ask, why is it the case that the poor, the unhealthy, are in possession of this realm? And I think the reason is a simple reason. It's taught basically in every spiritual tradition that the more we entangle ourselves with materiality by only seeking out material gains of wealth, of power, when our energy is directed towards that, it is not being directed towards the heavenly, the realm of consciousness, to the spiritual pursuits. And so those who are not caught up in all of that can understand that what happiness they have doesn't come from wealth. And we can look around and notice that wealth does clearly does not bring happiness or stability to people's lives. Now, that is not to say that we should ignore the poor, that their plight is not a horrendous one. I think we should all strive as much as possible to help alleviate hunger and poverty. But at the same time, we should recognize that this is a state that many spiritual seekers have taken upon themselves. And so it might be empowering for poor people to realize that they are actually, in a way, better off spiritually. They're better off not to be entangled with all of this power and greed. They are in a good situation to find and uncover and take real possession of this realm of the divine. And it's certainly something for all of us who are not abjectly poor to think about. Downsizing is good. Simplifying, not focusing on the material, not focusing on wealth or power is a better way. And in fact is without calming that sort of desire, we can never achieve actual spiritual liberation. So in short, another way to understand this beatitude is that Jesus is comforting those who are poor, those who sort of have a miserable life. And he's saying, look, you're actually better off. These people who have sought out wealth, he doesn't say that the kingdom of heaven belongs to kings and the powerful, the rich, the famous. He is saying that the kingdom of heaven belongs to the poor. So to just put a slightly finer point on this, I think we can notice that this first beatitude is saying that the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are not greedy. Greed is going to keep us out of or from perceiving and from gaining the kingdom or the realm of the divine. That used to be pretty common knowledge, I think, and I think in all spiritual traditions. I think as of late in America, there are those who certainly celebrate greed. And if you do so, that's fine. But I would say if you do celebrate greed and the acquisition of material goods, and if you seek after status and power, you certainly don't have the stamp of approval of Yeshua. I just don't know how you could make that argument. Next up, Beatitude number 2.